Darius Vane. Episode 9. The first sentence. 6 days remained. The countdown had begun. Every sunrise, another shelf disappeared. Not burned, not stolen, forgotten. The library wasn't dying. It was being unwritten. Darius stood before the first shelf. The little girl sat on top of it, kicking her feet. "You still haven't asked the important question," she said. Darius crossed his arms. "Then tell me," she smiled. "No, you have to earn it." Before Darius could answer, a loud thump echoed through the library. Then another. The floor trembled. One of the towering shelves tipped over. It didn't hit the ground. It simply vanished, as though it had never existed. And with it, Darius forgot something. He frowned. "What was I just thinking about?" The old keeper's eyes widened. "It's happening faster. The library isn't just losing books anymore. It's taking our memories with them." Far away, the gentleman in white sat alone inside the abandoned train station. The Book of Ends rested in his lap. He hadn't opened it again. He refused to. Instead, he stared at a faded photograph. 3 people stood smiling in front of the library. A younger Darius, the gentleman, and a third man. His face had been completely scratched out. The gentleman whispered, "I can't remember who you are." A single tear rolled down his face. "And that's what scares me." Back in the library, the little girl suddenly became serious. "Darius, when I count to 3, don't blink." "Why?" "Because he's looking." She raised one tiny finger. 1. The lights dimmed. 2. Every whisper stopped. 3. Darius kept his eyes open. At first, nothing. Then, he saw it. At the very end of the longest aisle, a man stood between the shelves. He wasn't moving. He wasn't breathing. He simply watched. He wore an old black suit covered in dust. His face couldn't be seen. Not because it was hidden, but because Darius's mind refused to process it. The longer he looked, the more reality bent around the figure. Books nearest to him faded away. Words disappeared from their pages. Even the floor beneath his feet was becoming blank. The little girl whispered, "That's not the reader." Darius's voice was barely audible. "Then, who is it?" She answered with a sadness that didn't belong on a child's face. "That's the editor." The figure slowly raised one hand. He wasn't pointing at Darius. He was pointing at the library itself. Then he made a single motion, as if crossing out a sentence. Instantly, half the aisle vanished. Shelves, books, doors, history, gone. The old keeper fell to her knees. "No! The editor has entered the library." The figure finally spoke. His voice sounded like paper tearing. "Too many stories." He took one slow step forward. "Need fewer words." Then, he disappeared. Not because he left, because reality edited him out. Silence filled the room. Darius looked at the empty space where the aisle had once stood. His golden eyes burned brighter than ever. For the first time, he wasn't afraid. He was angry. He slowly slipped his remaining silver rings onto one hand. The old keeper looked up. "Darius, what are you doing?" He stared into the endless darkness where the editor had stood. "The keepers have defended the library for thousands of years." He tightened his fist. "But we've never hunted the one trying to destroy it." He reached for his long black coat. "This story ends differently." The little girl smiled. For the very first time, it wasn't a sad smile. "Good. Because that's exactly what he was hoping you'd say." "To be continued."